Ladies and gentlemen, Dolores Huerta, interviewed by Rosie Perez.
You know, I gotta say, I am a pretty secure, confident woman. Thank you very much. And I have to say, in your presence, I am shaking like a leaf. Oh. And all that you have accomplished is just outstanding. You are the watermark of where we need to be as women in the activist movement. And when you first started this, you were ridiculed, you were marginalized, just for being a woman, and also for being a Latina woman. And I wanted to know, I saw the documentary, and in the documentary, a gentleman referred to her, standing next to Cesar Chavez, as his sidekick. How did you feel about that?
Well, I think like many women, that we all always feel marginalized and not given credit for the work that we do. And I know because we've been socialized sometimes that we shouldn't take credit because they'll say that we're conceited or, you know, the other B word, you know?
A bitch? Yeah.
So that's why it's important, I think, for women to not hold back, not to be afraid to speak out, not to be afraid to take credit for your work. And also, I like to say to all women, if there's something that you aspire to, a job that you might want, and you think, well, maybe I'm not quite, don't have the experience or the education, do it like the guys do it. Go for it anyway, okay? Learn on the job, learn on the job.
At that time, were you as confident as a woman as you are now? Did you speak up for yourself in the same way, or did you grow into that?
Well, my mother always told me to always speak up. But I think that a lot of times we want to just support, you know, especially men, because that's the way we've been socialized. And again, because they say, well, you're going to be conceited if you try to take credit for what you do. And so I think it's kind of a learning curve for a lot of women, that we do have to have that gumption, that we have to speak up for ourselves, and for other women too, because it's never just about us, it's about empowering our sisters, right? Because that's part of the work that we have to do.
And speaking of speaking up, President Obama, his famous campaign slogan was, "Si se puede," yes we can, and it's often incorrectly attributed to Cesar Chavez, not to you. Can you share where that came from? Well, first of all, did President Obama ask for permission?
No, he didn't. And when I met the president, he said, "I stole your slogan." And I said, "Yes, you did."
That's fantastic. There were more women in the United Farmers Workers than of all labor movements in the U.S. combined. Was that intentional on your part? Did you invite more women in, or did just more women show up?
Well, there are just a lot of women in the farm workers. I mean, many of the farm workers themselves are women. And the sad thing is to show you the racial discrimination and the misogyny, that they did not have bathrooms for the women in the fields. And that's one of the things that we did. And all the people out there that helped, you know, boycotted grapes and so that we could get the bathrooms for women in the field. It took a national boycott, you know, not only for women to get the right to organize into a union, but to get the bathrooms and to get hand washing facilities and rest periods, you know. Unemployment insurance and the right to organize. It took a whole national movement. 17 million people stopped eating grapes, and I'm sure a lot of you, your parents probably told you don't eat any grapes, okay, until the farm workers can get these human rights that they needed. But again, where we lacked was getting women in leadership. And I think earlier we saw a statistic that said that only 5% of women are in corporations, right? Only 5%. So I'm going to quote Coretta Scott King, who said, we will never have peace in the world until women take power. We will never have peace in the world until women take power. I'm going to use the word feminists take power, okay? Until feminists take power. And so I think one of the things that we have to work for, that in every boardroom in the United States and all over the world, we have to make sure that we have 50% of the people on that board are feminists, okay? Because if not, we know they're going to make the wrong decisions, right?
That's right.
If we're not at the table, they're going to make the wrong decisions.
Speaking about women in power, I know that you were criticized early in your activism career because you, as a mother, for your decision to lead the farm workers, and you had 11 children. Mm-hmm. How did that make you feel?
Well, it was kind of a calling. When you feel that calling, that you have to do something big, a bold idea, there's no rationale for it. I mean, it's crazy. I was a teacher. I'm quitting a job being a teacher to go organize farm workers for no money, okay? But it was such a strong feeling that I couldn't resist it. I felt that this is something I had to do, especially since I had learned how to do organizing work. Mm-hmm. And organizing work is just basically getting people together. I'm going to use the word Tupperware. When you have small meetings with people and you talk to them and you say, these are the things that are wrong, these are the things that need to be fixed, and guess who's going to have to fix them? We, people in this meeting. Yes. And I had learned how to do that kind of organizing, and I knew the only way that we could fix some of these issues with farm workers is to get them together, to make them understand that only they could solve their problems, that they couldn't wait for somebody to come and do it for them. And this is something I think all of us have to really understand. You know, right now, our democracy is in a crisis, and we are the only ones that can save it. We are the only ones that can save it. So we just have to make that commitment that we're going to get in there, we're going to be voting, everybody, because at the end of the day, the only way that we can solve so many of our issues is to get good people elected that are going to fight for us and work for us.
You know, I was going to ask you, that question was so important to me because I know as a woman, and I know a lot of women here, you are made to feel guilty if you have children and you want a career too. Mm-hmm. And they never put the onus on the men. They made the babies too. Hello. Mm-hmm. But I think that what you said was one of the most impressive things that I heard from the documentary, is that yes, you're an activist, yes, you fight for people, but you're telling people to fight themselves. And a lot of times we sit on the sideline, or we're sitting there with the computer and our activism is only online, which is fine, it's important, but it's also more important to vote, to use our voice, and that we have to take ownership of our own desire for change. And I love that that's your strong message. And I also love the fact that you're still doing it. You have your organization.
Yes,
Can you speak on that?
Yes, the Dolores Huerta Foundation, that's what we do. We organize women, and actually to end some of the misogyny, the homophobia, you know, the racism that exists in our society. And a lot of it comes down to education, because unfortunately our stories, our histories of indigenous people, people of color, of women, are not in our curriculums in our schools. And we've got to fight to get that in there, because right now, people, the reason that we have these cultural wars is because they want to keep us divided.
Right.
And so people are fighting each other instead of looking, what are the real issues? Why do we not have national health care in the United States of America? Why do we not have free college education for everybody in the United States of America? The issues are economic issues. But as long as they can keep us fighting on these cultural wars, people don't look at the real issues. And one of the things, of course, that we don't have national health care, we don't have free college education, because 90% of the wealth in the United States is in the hands of 10% of the wealthy corporations, okay? And these are the issues that we really have to, why don't we have universal daycare? We talk about the children, right? I mean,
Because it's not a priority for men. If it was a priority for men, we would have daycare all over the place. Yeah.
But again, I think it comes down to education, because when we think about our children having daycare, it's not about that they're safe and they're being taken care of, but they're getting educated, okay? Because if we know that if children are educated, if they have education during daycare, then they're going to go to college. The chances are better going to college. So, and I want to say this statement here because it applies to all of our issues of education. A great leader, William B. Du Bois, said, "America can destroy ignorance, or ignorance will destroy America."
Yes. Speaking of that, the Texas Board of Education removed your name from the state social studies curriculum in 2010. Yes, it is happening. It's been happening. As an organizer, how do you think about the increasing polarization of school boards across the country?
Well, it's very, very deliberate, as I said before, because we could not have a democracy if people are not informed and if people are not educated. And not only about the issues of women's contribution to history, you know, again, little boys need to be taught that little girls are their equals, right? The little girls are as intelligent as little boys, so we can stop the misogyny. And it's about science also. It's about global warming. It's about a fetus is not a child until it's born. You know, there's war on women and the issues of abortion that we're talking about right now. And again, respect for our LGBTQ community also. There is a third gender, okay? There is a third gender. People have to understand that. And so these are the issues that we really, really have to address if we're going to erase the ignorance in our society. And also civic duty, why all of us have to vote. So, and then our history of people of color, you know, that has to be in our history books also so that we can get rid of the racism that exists in our society. So we have to take over our school boards, okay? And we have to take over our school boards. Yeah. This is absolutely essential because, again, if we want to erase the ignorance, and you know, when you think about our own government, our defense budget is so much higher than our education budget. Yes. So, and like even in California, where we used to be #1 in education when I was a kid, we're now like number 36. And I think in most states, let's look at our states and see where we're at. You know, because we've got to have money going into education. Our teachers need more support, more social workers, more counselors, if we're going to erase the ignorance that exists.
Awesome. I don't have a lot of time left, which breaks my heart. I've envisioned this moment, I swear to goodness, that I was going to meet you one day. And it's an honor. Yes, don't make me cry, honey. It's an honor. But before we leave, we have a few minutes, and you requested me to address the audience. And would you like them to stand up?
Yes, okay.
Can everyone please stand up?
Well, number one, we want to invite you, Rosie and I. All of us have to be the messengers of peace. All of us have to become organizers. So everything that has been learned at this conference, we want you to share it with somebody else. I know there's been a lot here, but the basic things is about that we all have to get involved. We all have to be the saviors of our democracy because we know right now it is in jeopardy. I hope people had a chance to watch the hearings that are going on right now of the January 6th Commission hearings. It's so, so important because we can't take democracy for granted. It's a participatory sport. You know, if we don't engage, then we lose it. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and I think you know the answers. but don't answer until I say when, okay? All right. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, who's got the power? And I want you to say, we've got the power, okay? And then the second question that I'm going to ask you is, what kind of power? And then I want you to say, feminist power, all right? Feminist power, the power of women, all right? So let's do that all together. And then at the end of it, we're going to say, si se puede. And si se puede, for those of you that don't speak Spanish, means yes, we can, okay? So let's all do that all together, okay? Are you ready? And I want you to shout really, really loud, okay? First question, who's got the power?
We got the power.
Okay, some people aren't sure. Okay, we have to do that again. Let's go, okay? Louder still, raise the roof. Who's got the power?
We got the power.
What kind of power?
Feminist power.
So, are we going to use our power? Are we going to go out there and organize, bring more people into the social justice and economic movement? What do we say?
Si se puede.
Okay, now one more thing. Let's put our hands up. Let's put our hands up all together. And then we're going to all clap in unison. Let's go. Si se puede.
Si se puede. Se puede. Si 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 se puede. Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful, the fabulous Dolores Huerta. Thank you so much.
And the fabulous Rosie Perez. Okay, one more.
Thank you.
Thank you.